We are here because we are dedicated to helping members of our community build lean, strong bodies and confident, resilient minds. Determined to elevate the lives of working professionals, stay-at-home parents, and anyone who is ready to level up their life. Our invigorating group fitness classes, practical nutrition programs, and authentic coaches help ignite your life. Find a place that believes in you. Find a place that challenges you. Find CrossFit Southpaw.
All right, and welcome to the Southpaw Spotlight, episode 6 now, I think we're on. We're here with Lori McCain, a Southpaw athlete. We've had new athletes, coaches, and experienced athletes on the show, and Lori's kind of right there in the middle. She's been here for, 8 months or so now? I can't remember the exact timeline. Time kind of seems to fly. 9 months. Yeah. All right, 9 months now, working on her first year, and she's had a lot of really cool insight and been a great member of the community along the way. And I do have to tell you, Lori, that there's one thing that's a little concerning to me about this episode. She has no idea what's going on right now, so she's probably going through a list of things. But at class today, I left my coffee mug there, and that's been my partner. So I have an actual mug, and I hope that it's not bad mojo. But anyway, Lori, welcome to the show. We're grateful to have you on today.
Thank you, Nick. It's exciting to be here. I'm excited to do this with you. So,
absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to it as well. To kick things off, tell me a little bit about where you were when you found Southpaw. Like, what was that when you were on your computer one night and you were Googling things or looking for something? What was the catalyst, the emotion that was driving you to make some type of change in your life?
Yeah. Well, I lived with a roommate a few years ago that was a CrossFitter. And so that's kind of how I first heard about CrossFit. And it was kind of like 3 years later that I really decided to actually look into it. And I knew that I wanted to start exercising. I was a runner for a little bit, but that got old really quickly. And I was also very new to the area when I first checked out Southpaw. Mm-hmm. And so I was just trying to be bold and just kind of check it out, and here we are. So
that's a great little insight. And I didn't know that you had a roommate who had done CrossFit. So mm-hmm. You had this roommate who did CrossFit, and then 3 years later you eventually kind of go in to check it out. And I know, being on the inside, that CrossFitters have this really bad stigma of being douchey, for lack of a better term. And how do you know if someone does CrossFit? Because they talk about it. What was your initial view of CrossFit? What did you kind of think about when you thought of CrossFit back then?
I thought, what the heck am I getting into? Just because there is a stigma that it's super intense, and you have to be super in shape all the time. And so it was a little intimidating at first, but I just tried to press in, and I was just it doesn't hurt to try, and mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I was at, and I was just willing to see where it led to. So
that willingness that you talk about, you're kind of willing to give it a try finally. Mm-hmm. And we hear that from a lot of people, and I want to explore that a little bit. Because in my own life, I found that to have a willingness, I often have to be experiencing pain of some sort. And that's doesn't mean physical pain, right? It's just mm-hmm. broadly, I need to have discomfort somewhere in my life to develop a willingness to change, because as humans, we're averse to change. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. There was for sure just the desire to be more physically fit, but actually one of the biggest things that pushed me even more to check out CrossFit was my mental health. Mm-hmm. There was just different stressors in my life, and just no way to really deal with that stress. And so I think that's originally why I started running. And so primarily I sought out CrossFit to help physically and mentally. Mm-hmm. I had no idea how many other areas of my life it would help improve. So
kind of absorbs.
Yeah, it was really cool. So,
and that's a great, I'm throwing you some fastballs down the middle. So these are tough, but I was a distance runner too, and I still love running to this day. Don't do it as much as I used to, but what, like, running is a great anti-stress, anti-anxiety, activity to do. What was missing from your life, or what were you hoping to find, or did you find at CrossFit that was different than you experienced when you were running by yourself or working out by yourself?
Yeah. I think like the biggest thing is I'm a huge people person. And so like running just wasn't doing it for me. Like I was bored. It just got old really quickly. And so I think like the community of CrossFit has been a huge aspect of like keeping me there and keeping me motivated. Um, and I also got really bored with exercise just in general. Like I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and then ever since high school I've just been so bored with exercising. And so like I love the variety of CrossFit because like I'm never bored, and I'm always like there's always something new and exciting to like do at the next workout, or like how to push yourself in a different way.
It adds that spice factor, kind of.
Yeah, I love the variety and I love the people. So
What's interesting about that is, and I've never thought about it this way, and I've been doing this for way too long, arguably, but you simultaneously have to think less about your workouts, because you have people giving you workouts every day and teaching you about how to do them properly, helping you kind of modify them so they fit not just you generally, but how you're feeling that day.
yeah.
But you also have a wider variety of workouts, so it's less thought and on your part, and that kind of inner dialogue of trying to figure out, what should I do today? Should I do 5 reps or 15 reps? Should I do push-ups or squats, right? And you're like looking up on, bodybuilding.com or runnersworld.com, and you're trying to piece together these different things, and you never quite have that solidity of like knowing that you're doing something correct or you're doing the right program. And then you also have less thought that's going into it because you just are able to do something. And I feel like one of the things that attracted me to CrossFit was that intuitively I just knew that I was getting a really good workout. Just something I understood once I did it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Having come in the door and now being 9 months in, what have you experienced during that time? Like, have there been different kind of phases of it? Has it been the same type of theme, or just what are your lessons from these first 9 months?
Oh man.
Broad question.
Yeah. I think that it definitely was kind of different phases for me. At the first, I just had to like remember to like not be too hard on myself. Like, cause I was like, I just had to keep reminding myself, like, Lori, you're brand new. This is a huge learning curve. Like, give it time. And cause like for the first few months I
remember that.
I walked in and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I even like cut most reps in half because I was just like, like work your way up, give it time, like don't overdo it. And I think that really benefited me in the long run because like, so that like, that was the first few months for sure.
I distinctly remember when, and I've seen this with a few athletes now, when they make that jump from like really focusing on mechanics and figuring things out to when they like kind of get it. And now they're pushing the weights a little bit or pushing the intensity a little bit. And it's really cool to see that flip switch. And that honestly is what it should be like. And I think too often what's been the narrative in CrossFit is that coaches, and I'm sure I've been guilty of this myself, push the intensity piece because we put our story onto the other people's story. And really we need to, our goal is to help guide you through your own story rather than, this global, this is what's right for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think you mentioned it already, but like it was super great that like the modifications until like I worked my way up until like, heavier weights and more reps. Like I just had to like remember like, no, this is okay. Like this is a win. This is a celebration. And celebrating the small wins was a huge thing that has kept me going. Um like and so yeah, that's been a huge part of like the probably first 3 to 6 months at least.
And Lori, I think that's a huge
Um
point too, because you talked
yeah.
about, and I think you mentioned this, and I'm glad you did, because I did, we don't always hear this from people, but a big part of what led you to CrossFit was the physical, but also the mental side, right? And
Yeah.
it's not easy going in and seeing people doing, you know, workouts with these heavy weights or these complex gymnastics movements, and not knowing, like, not only not really knowing what they're doing exactly, having a vague idea, but like having to dial it back on your end. But what it does
Yeah.
through that process, that the challenge is what creates change. Like we're not going to be able to change if we aren't challenged. And it also impacts other areas of your life, right? And being able to flip your mindset in an experience like that to focusing on what's in your control, and what you can do to move the needle a little bit each day, it has a way of rippling out into the rest of your life. and
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's what I hope that people experience, because I experienced that, and that was a big motivator to open Southpaw.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you noticed things outside of the gym change in your life?
Yeah, I definitely working out has become like a healthy stress releaser for me. With just like my personal life or work or whatever, like at the end of the day, I'm just like, okay, I need to go to Southpaw like now. Just because it's just like a healthy space where I can not think about anything except working out, and it just like clears my head, um and in addition, you have like a positive community around you that is just like rooting for you. And so it's just like it's just a healthy part of my life, and that's been really good.
It's almost
Um
like growing up, we had school and sports and whatever, and you were like put around other people that you may or may not generally associate with or
yeah.
naturally be drawn to, but you develop relationships because of the shared proximity and shared like experience. And when we become adults, especially now with quarantine, a lot of people are working from home, and you don't really hang out with a lot of your coworkers traditionally, and you get to know some of them on kind of a surface level and through interactions, and that's great. But um, being able to have something outside of your house or outside of your family, or whatever, that helps kind of ground you. It's like this third area that you can just go vent about things, and you can joke around and just clear your head. It's like, I love when I work out, I'm off my phone, I'm off of technology for like an hour, right? And it's such a gift to help like put in perspective, and you're stressing about the messages you have to respond to and the to-do lists that you have, and all of a sudden you take an hour off and you're like, oh wow, the world didn't burn down, I'm okay. And it's
Yeah.
like, not only do you feel good from the endorphins and that you're doing something that's good for yourself, but it also gives you some perspective about this balance in life, and it's so easy to get thrown out of balance.
Yeah, for sure. I know some of my like hardest and most stressful days, I'm just like, okay, I need to go lift something heavy.
Yeah,
And just like,
just take it
just
out.
take it out on something, or yeah. So it's been a good stress reliever, that's for sure.
what would what did a day, let's say you had a tough day at work prior to Southpaw, and then a tough day at work now, what, describe that feeling a little bit of like towards the end of the night, like when you're reflecting back on your day, or does that make sense? I'm
Yeah.
fishing a little bit, but
Mhm. I think before I didn't really know what to do with like I didn't have anywhere to put that stress. So I just like it just like hung around me all night. Um and I didn't really know how to like process it. And so it's just like nice now because at the end of the day, I can go get my head cleared and just like work out really hard. And I feel like the rest of the night, I just have a clearer thought process and I'm able to just have a healthier evening with my stress, you know? It doesn't make stuff disappear, but I think it's
No,
the way you handle it the rest of the day
it
that,
allows you to confront things, so rather
yeah,
than just sitting in them.
yeah, for sure.
And again, it's not a cure all. I think CrossFit and fitness are part of a more holistic look at life. But when you think about humans for, thousands of years, like we haven't, like technology is relatively new and it's
Mhm.
done some wonderful things in our society. You know, what we can do now, what science has allowed us to do is miraculous. And the rate at which we can get things done is drastically improved. But for thousands of years, like we were moving. We weren't staring at screens at all. We were moving all day, like grinding flour in the mill or cutting wood or whatever. The kids were running around outside, and now and I'm guilty of this too, like sitting behind screens all the time. But biologically, we haven't caught up to that yet. And our bodies need that movement. It's programmed into us as a way to, someone referred to it like this recently, but it's this was talking about walking specifically, and I think about it frequently, but um it's the way that you process all your information. I'm missing the word right now, but it's like we have all this information jumbling around and you're trying to remember all of it at the same time. Oh, I'm sorry, integration. It's a way of integrating everything. It integrates it all together and it gives you this one clear narrative rather than a bunch of these jumbled bits and pieces and these quick flashes, right? And
Yeah.
it helps us see the bigger picture and then just feel better, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
So you really, I know that you've gotten into like powerlifting, Olympic lifting, and kind of gravitated towards that. What have you enjoyed specifically about some of those classes or some of those, disciplines?
Yeah. I just like I'm always trying to like do my best at like anything that comes my way. It's kind of a curse sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think that what's really cool about powerlifting and Olympic lifting is like there's always something I can work on, and
Hmm.
I like feed off of that. Um, it's just like really nice to get that constant feedback from coaches and um, just like really like learn the disciplines of the form because like
Hmm.
I know that if I don't have good form, like I'm not going to be able to add more weight. Um,
Hmm.
and so it's just been like really cool to like challenge myself in those ways and um yeah, and again I keep going back to like celebrating the small victories, but like
Hmm.
because it can be hard to be I can be too perfectionistic also.
Yeah.
So I'm just like sometimes I go to those classes and I'm like, okay, Lori, you're not gonna like crush a PR today, but a win is successfully getting a good form down or something.
Hmm.
And so like I'm always trying to like keep that open mind and um I also really enjoyed like the laid back feel of those classes.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a hangout session with friends and you're
Yeah.
lifting heavy weights and it's
Yeah.
just like a nice thing to do at the end of the day. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. It doesn't have that um, the same intensity
yeah.
as a more
Yeah, it's a
that
different
fun stuff.
feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
I think they're both good. And just like anything in life, it's the finding the balance, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I love what you said about uh, you know, going in and intentionally not setting a PR as the benchmark or of
Mhm.
success, right? And if I can move well or learn something, that's moving well and learning something are in your control. Like you can do those things if you choose to focus on them. A PR is oftentimes not in your control at all. It's a result of a lot of other things, right? It could be the temperature, the time of day that you work out, how well you slept the night before, what your training previously has been. There's all these things that go into it. And some days you're going to have it and some days you're not. Just like winning a competition. Cool goal. And some people thrive off of goals like that, but maybe someone else just performs better. You perform your best and they perform better. And does that mean it was a bad day? I don't think so. And so I think reframing things and to really look at what do I actually have control over? And that's something I've been challenging myself to do recently is what's in my control with this task I'm about to perform? And how can I decide if that was a win or not? And oftentimes when you do that, it's not super complicated. It's you do that thing, right? But it's just the awareness of being able to reframe that. And that's something that we talk about a lot is of really trying to help athletes see that and be able to do. Lori, tying this back to the beginning, but this is a question I like to ask people towards the end, but when your roommate was doing CrossFit and you were kind of became aware of it, what would you tell somebody now who, let's say you ran into them at Starbucks or they're a friend of yours at church or whatever, and you see them and they're like, hey, you do CrossFit, right? They're like, I'm kind of thinking about it. What would you tell them?
I would say, oh my gosh, do it. Just because like I was thinking recently, I was like, this was probably one of the best decisions I've made, to be honest. Like it has like positively affected so many areas of my life. And like when you like there's like that power of testimony, you know, like if it's changed your life, you're going to tell people about it. And so I actually have had friends talk to me about it, and some of them have started CrossFit in other states, and it's just super cool. And I try to like, you know, tell them what I was telling myself at the beginning of just like give it time, and relationships take time, and you know, just like it's worth it. I don't know.
I think that's a really cool element of the CrossFit community, because I have people from like high school that I went to high school with, and I barely talked to them then, and they live in a different state or different city here, and now they do CrossFit, and we see each other and we're able to talk about that, right? Like, you know, you see a workout they did and you comment on it or whatever. It's like wherever you go, you have like a little home in that state. And I don't getting into the whole like all CrossFit gyms thing and CrossFit HQ and all that is a whole nother story. But like generally, like it attracts really good people. It attracts people who are successful and hardworking. And you recognize that when somebody has been in it for a while, you know that they're willing to do work and they're striving for some of those same goals that you are. And it creates this immediate bond.
Yeah, it's definitely like a fun conversation topic between like me and my other CrossFit friends in out of state. I'm just like, because at first when I started, like all these different CrossFit terms were just so confusing to me. And then now we all are on the same page and we're like, guess what I did today?
The WOD and AMRAP. And what was your time? Yeah.
Yep.
Thruster, Cindy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Murph.
Murph.
Yeah. That's cool. I read this book called 7 Elements of a Primal Brand. And one of the elements is a lexicon, which I love that word, but it means the language that you use, right? And I was raised Catholic, and the Catholic Church has a lot of them, like, you know, transubstantiation or the Apostles' Creed or communion, right? Like they have this kind of sacred meaning, and you don't know what they mean until you're in it. Right. But it builds the sense of belonging, and CrossFit has done a pretty good job of that. You know, and Apple has it, iMessage, iMovie, like bubbles or emojis, right? And then it's like the Apple versus Android, and you have this sacred lexicon that belongs to each one. And I think it's fascinating looking at brands in that sense. And Facebook, you know, any big brand that you think of has some of these words that only means something when you're a believer or when you're on the inside. And I don't know, it's interesting, and
for sure.
You don't want to be exclusive, but it's also fun to build that brand identity and that sense of belonging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that was a random note to end on, Lori, but thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to share today or leave us with?
I don't think so. I'm just excited to like maintain consistency and just see different areas that I continue to grow and the relationships I'll continue to build. So yeah,
Absolutely. I think
Southpaw
that's
is
the name of the game, and the name
yeah,
of life is, right, it's consistency. Find the thing that you
absolutely.
enjoy. And I give the analogy, like, what's your okay, I'm gonna add one thing on here because I
Yeah.
love this analogy or story, whatever. What's a TV show that you really like?
New Girl.
New Girl. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you have to, like, before you're gonna watch an episode, you have to like get yourself motivated to watch it? You have to like psych yourself up and like get your outfit you're gonna wear out ahead of time and whatnot.
No.
Yeah. And I feel like the same should be true of our fitness experience, right? Like you shouldn't have to like constantly like be doing something that you don't want to do. And if you can
Right.
find a place that you, and there are going to be times that you don't want to go to the workout or the workout's painful. It's not pleasant necessarily, but it can still be a fun environment, an engaging environment. And if you can find that with whatever it is, fitness, nutrition, work, like that's the sweet spot. That's where you want to be. And that's where it becomes enjoyable and you can really explore yourself. So I can't remember how we got there, but I like that analogy. So
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
Lori, have a great day. Thanks so much for your time. We'll catch you later.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Bye.